Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Michelle Brown. Michelle Burke. Mrs. Mitchell, how are you doing, ma?
I am great. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mitchell. Firstly, you are an author. You are
Yeah.
the podcast host of Hot Mess Magic, and you are also a speaker. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, ma?
So first of all, thank you for having me on. Yes, my book and my podcast are both Hot Mess Magic. And I believe that each one of us, whether we want to admit it or not, is a hot mess. And that in this world of filters and facades that we live in, it's time just to let them all crumble and embrace who we are because no one's life is perfect. So in my book, I go through and I share a bunch of my messes, uh, how I got into them, which most of it has to do with our conditioning, programming, belief systems, etc. And then what I learned from them, because I have this innate gift and ability to transform chaos. I see the beauty in the broken, the clarity in the chaos, and the magic in the mess. So while someone is in that messy moment or in a chaotic period within their life, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So then in my podcast, um, I have guests come on and share some of their messes and what they learned from them, how they grew from them to get to where they are today. As well as guests providing tools and resources to help people navigate through, just life in general.
Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. And do you also, can you also please discuss more on your book, which is The Art Mess Magic? Discover the magic in your mess. And do you also have more book you are planning to write in the coming future, Mrs. Mitchell?
So my book, um, the title actually came to me in 2018
Okay.
while I was sitting down having dinner with a Facebook friend who we had just connected for the first time at a conference. And we're sitting there having dinner and she's talking and I cut her off mid-sentence and as I'm picking up my phone and I said, I don't mean to be rude right now, but I just had these three words come to me. They don't make sense together, but I know that there's something. And I wrote those three words down, and those three words were, hot mess magic. And the next day at the conference, which was also the last day, the last speaker that had gotten up to present was a book publisher. And throughout the course of the day, I was just having different things come to me. I had the tagline come to me, I had the premise of the book come to me. And afterwards, I got up and I pitched the publisher right there on the spot. And she said to me, most people don't hit a home run on their first try with their title. You just hit a home run. Let's connect when you get home. And we connected. And at that point in time, I wasn't able to invest in working with her. The investment was just so much more than I had anticipated it being, that I kind of put it on hold temporarily. And in doing so, I then went through the messiest, lowest points in my life, which I share some of them within the book. And writing that was a very cathartic. journey in just processing everything that had happened to me. As far as other books, yes, I am in the process of writing my second book, which the second book is similar and different from my first book. And the fact that this second book is a journey through grief. In 2022, I unexpectedly lost my dad, and then several weeks later, unexpectedly lost my grandma. So here I was journeying through the grief of not only my dad, but then adding the grief of losing my grandma to it. And it became just this very dark, dark period in some ways, and eye-opening, and discovering deeper aspects of self in the process as well, where I edited my book during my grieving process of, and part of where and why I was editing my book then was because it was something that I could do that didn't require me to get out of bed, because I honestly didn't want to get out of bed. It was something that I could do in waves. I could edit for 20 minutes, close my laptop, and go take a nap. To where I then ended up releasing my book on what would have been my dad's 70th birthday. So taking what would have been this, and it still was, a very emotional day, but instead of it being a painful, mournful, emotion, it was more of a happy, celebratory, energy, which is what I wanted.
That's definitely also shows you really love your dad and your grandma. May their perfect soul continue to rest in peace. And firstly, I would like to go to the point of societal expectation. In this world that we are, in this type of technology that we are surrounded today with, every single one are expecting every single societal expectation. I would like to ask Mrs. Mitchell, what do you think are the societal expectation, and how do you think they shape our lives and choices, ma?
Ooh, that's a really powerful question, because we look at society, and we look at society also culturally between, the United States, you know, Canada, Africa, Europe, Asia. And there are certain expectations that are societal expectations that are placed on us, especially here in the United States, where it's, pushing, going to college, and getting a good job after college, and getting married by a certain age, and having children by a certain age, and doing so, buying a house, and all of this. And for me, what I say to that is, like, the heck with what society has to say, and do what lights you up. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you're owning a home, or whether you're renting a home. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're married or single. What matters is that you're happy. What matters is that there was some joy, there was some pleasure, there was some laughter within your day. And this is where I feel we get so caught up in, societal expectations, and forgetting our own expectations. Like, what do we expect from ourselves? What do we want, not only from ourselves, but for ourselves?
Hmm, I completely agree, Mrs. Mitchell. We have to also look for our personal self. We all agree that the society we need to look at it, but our own self too is more important. And that also drive me to daily practice or daily habits, Mrs. Mitchell. Are these, any small daily habits or daily practices that help people align their lives with their authentic self now?
There are so many. The number one thing that I can say is disconnect. And what I mean by that is disconnect from your phone and go connect with nature, yourself. Um, Leave the phone at home and go take a walk. Oh, go to a park and leave the phone in your car, or if you don't feel comfortable leaving it in the car, stick it in your pocket, but put it on silent. Oh, just connect with nature. Oh, if you can get your feet on the ground. I know, in parts of the world it is, winter. Oh, get your, but if you can get your feet on the ground, get your feet on the ground. If you can't get your feet on the ground, get your hands on a rock, on a tree. I know it sounds, fluffy and woo woo and all that, but it's connecting you back to nature. It's connecting you back to yourself. And it's really just letting your body come back to center. Oh, we live in this society where we're, especially in the US, where it's go, 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 go. And it's just taking that moment for yourself. Oh, where oh, if you don't have 10 minutes for yourself within the day, there's something wrong with that because we all have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We all can also find half an hour. Look at how much time you spend scrolling social media or checking emails, uh, or just doing things that don't have any meaning to them. There are habits that we've become addicted to where it's breaking that pattern of the things that don't serve us, that are keeping us stuck, keeping us in a lower vibrational frequency, and doing things like connecting with nature, exercising, meditation, journaling, the things that are going to connect us with ourselves. And when it comes to meditation, so many people say to me, Michelle, I can't meditate. And I say, I call them out on that because when you're sitting there with a cup of coffee, aimlessly looking out the window, you're meditating. When you're in the shower and you're letting the water hit your back and you're just standing there and you let out that sigh, you're meditating. When you're in the car and you're driving and you're just in that autopilot zone of driving and your brain is free to wander, you're kind of in a meditative state. And when it comes to journaling, you don't necessarily need a journaling prompt. I could give you all the journaling prompts in the world, but it's also sitting down and what I like to call verbal vomiting and just taking everything that's in your head and spewing it all over the paper. It doesn't have to make sense in what you're saying, just to get it out of your system. So this way, you can release it. You can let it, just let it all go.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. And I heard you say, take a walk. Just try to connect with people physically. This definitely brought me to this question, because some listeners could be wondering, how do you think someone can find a community of like-minded individual aid in living authentically, Mrs. Mitchell?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Mm,
Um, Look at what you're interested in. If oh, kickboxing is something that you're interested in, join a kickboxing gym. If yoga is something that you're into, find a yoga studio. Oh, look look up things that you're interested in on Meetup or Eventbrite, or even search it on Facebook and put the state or the town or the nearest city to you in that search bar as well. But your people are out there. It's a matter of just connecting with them, and connecting with them in something that you're both interested in.
mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. And what do you think is the one piece of advice you would give to anyone ready to break free and embrace their true self?
Blinders on. So listen to what your gut, what your intuition, what you know, your soul is telling you, and not all the outside noise. Because your family, your closest friends are going to think that they know you best. They're going to think that what you're doing might not make complete sense. And it doesn't need to make sense to them. The only person it needs to make sense to is yourself. And sometimes it's not even going to make sense to yourself. It's just this innate knowing, this innate feeling. You're like, I have to do this. I'm sick of living this way. I need to break free. I need to honor who I truly am, and be myself and take this mask off and do so without judgment, without shame. And that's one of the biggest things that comes up, is that judgment and that shame, as to we're afraid of how those around us are going to react. We're afraid of what others are going to say. But at the end of the day, what they have to say doesn't matter. What matters is your happiness, your well being, and people are going to talk, and people are going to judge you no matter what you do. So why not just be true to yourself and let people say what they're going to say?
Mm, I completely agree. And I know the way you are talking, you definitely believe in authentically. So, is there any lesson you've learned from living authentically now?
You're going to lose people.
Yeah.
You're going to have, friends, and people, even family, that you oh, thought was there for you, but isn't. You begin to outgrow people, and it's one of the hardest lessons. It's one of the hardest things, is seeing when an individual is no longer serving you, when someone is keeping you stuck, or keeping you stagnant, or keeping you from hiding parts of yourself and not being true to who you are, and realizing that I need to let this person go, even though this person means so much to me, or this person has played such a big role in my life. But I believe that people come into our lives for, a reason, a season, or life. And within, our people that are in our lives for seasons, there are reasons to those seasons. And with people who are in our life for life, there are seasons and there are reasons again within those seasons.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. And lastly, there's a question I normally ask Mrs. Mitchell. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, there are a lot of things that exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing will be, ma?
Um, what the first thing that comes to my mind when you said that is family, is that that family unit. Um, oh, Sitting down and having dinner together, communicating, telling each other about, your day and what's going on, and not having the technology. So, sitting down to dinner and everyone putting their phones, their tablets, in a Tupperware container and sticking it in, another room. It's we've lost we have all these ways to communicate with each other. However, no one is communicating. No one's connecting. We have all these ways to connect it. We're so disconnected from each other because we're doing all this communicating through a screen. And it's, putting down the technology and really just connecting with each other. You know, like I said, sitting down and having dinner together, going out and doing things, as a family unit, or just disconnecting from your phone, the tablet, etc., and actually connecting with the person in front of you.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. And that dog, better want that guy. I want
Yes.
to sincerely thank you, Mrs. Mitchell, for speaking on this societal expectation, how one can live authentically, how one can be him or herself. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, smile. Bye bye.
I